James Bond is the ultimate men's and menswear icon. The impression he makes on growing boys and men stems from his inner strength, his bravery, his self-reliance, reliability, loyalty, and his shoes. Okay, not specifically his shoes, but the elegance of his wardrobe ensures he always impresses. And while I've covered Daniel Craig's wardrobe extensively in the previous 5 Bond style reviews, you can see the playlist here, it's time we took a look at the foundation of every good wardrobe and where most men start their style journey, footwear. Welcome back to The Love of Suits. If you're new here, we try to find inspiration on how to dress well from the most stylish men on the screen. We have a new video every Wednesday and shorts throughout the week. Daniel Craig has tread every surface on rooftops and deserts in the soles of some of the most famous and expensive shoes the UK has to offer. But I'll let you in on a secret. Other quality British shoemakers from Northampton have alternatives that are almost indistinguishable in quality and appearance and considerably cheaper. I'll mention alternatives as I go along, but I'm not sponsored by any of them. But I have been a customer of Crockett & Jones and Herring for many years, and I can stand by their quality and service. Let's first take a look at one of my favourite shoemakers, Crockett & Jones, whose footwears from dress shoes to rugged boots appear in No Time to Die, Spectre and Skyfall. Crockett & Jones were founded in 1879 in Northampton, the shoemaking capital of England, and are still owned and run by the same family today. Northampton is still home to such leading brands as Trickers, Crown Northampton, Barker and Joseph Cheney, to mention a few. The Isla is not surprisingly a featured boot in the movie Skyfall. Not only is it named after an island off the coast of Scotland where James Bond was born and his family home of Skyfall still stands, but it is a dressy but rugged boot perfectly suited for rough terrain and long grass. It is a beautiful full or wingtip brogue derby boot, made from a grain leather of the highest quality. Broguing is the stylish punctured holes in the leather upper. It has 5 speed hooks as it is quite a high leg boot, and it features a day-night sole, a favourite amongst those hard-wearing enthusiasts, and a storm welt which helps keep the water out. The boot allows you to trudge through swampy mires in the countryside and not look out of place, but still sit down in a decent restaurant afterwards back in the city and look comfortable and stylish in both. One of the things I liked about the Daniel Craig Bond series is the return of British icons like the cars and the shoes. I've tried on this very boot in the Crockett & Jones stores on Jermyn Street just off Savile Row, but I just couldn't push the button on it, it's quite expensive. Beautifully crafted pair of boots will set you back £625 sterling or $800 US. However, fear not, as I can suggest 2 cheaper alternatives. Barker is another company very similar to Crockett & Jones. They are also a heritage shoemaker from Northampton and produce quality shoes and have a very similar boot to the Isla. The Calder, also with day-night soles and only £423 or $530 US. Okay, not exactly cheap, but you're saving nearly $300 US for basically the same boot minus the Bond tax. Crockett & Jones have milked their association with Daniel Craig's Bond, and you're definitely paying for the luxury brand benefit. Not that they're not worth it in the long run. If you look after them, these boots will last you a lifetime of comfort and style. But another British shoe institution is Herring, which not only make a fantastic line of shoes, but have an online store that sell their own shoes and many other brands such as Loke, Cheney and Church. I used them for years when I lived in Shanghai. I joined their cordwainer service for about $50 and I got free shipping and returns, so I didn't have to worry about the shoes fitting. They also offer a lot of alternatives to the Isla with some variations, and prices range from $300 to $700 US. Again, I am not sponsored, but recommending them from years of personal use. My next favourite boot from Crockett & Jones is the Molten, and it happens to be Daniel Craig's too, especially after wearing them in No Time to Die. I came very close to buying a pair but opted for a different boot at the time, but a pair of their rough-out suede Moltens are definitely on my list. Rough-out suede is different from normal suede. Suede is actually the underside of the leather, spliced from the top grain being the best quality. So suede is not as strong as it is not backed by the fibrous leather and won't last as long. However, rough-out suede is top grain leather turned inside out, so it retains all the strength while giving you the softer look of suede and is extremely weather resistant, but more expensive. If you want to learn more about the different types of leather in shoes, I would recommend the fabulous channel I've been following for years, Rose Anvil. And while the rough-out suede is the only pair available to you and me, Daniel Craig liked them so much he requested them in several different leathers, and of course they made them for him. The Molten is a low-rise chukka boot with a day-night sole, and it is a soft and comfortable boot that does not take much of a break-in. And you can either let it patina and age, or take care of it and maintain its sleek look. It can literally become 2 different boots over time, depending on how you like to wear it. It's cheaper than the Isla at a mere £475 or $600 US. But again, Herring to the rescue, and though not the same quality as the Crockett & Jones, it comes in at a mere £240 or $300 US. Not for nothing, but not too bad. If you enjoyed this video so far, please hit that like button. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the notifications bell as well. It really helps the channel. And we have a great community in our comment section, so please check that out if you haven't already. In No Time to Die, one of Bond's more refined shoes are the Crockett & Jones Highbury dress shoes. It's a plain-toe 3-eyelet chukka. Even when well dressed, there is often a slightly rugged element to Bond's choices, like not going full Oxford. This fine pair of black leather shoes in a slim profile city sole will set you back £545 or $700. And I won't let you down, so of course you can pick up a pair of similar shoes from Herring's site at about £260 to £300 or $330 to $420. These are dress shoes though, so not to be worn in the Highlands or running through sandy deserts. A pair of double monk straps is an unusual shoe for Bond, but we can see them in Spectre, the Crockett & Jones Camberley. Black calfskin and again day-night soles. The double monk strap is a kind of semi-classic shoe. It has waxed and waned in popularity in the last decade, but is still hanging around. Personally, I prefer the single monk in a shoe, but the double monk is more popular. That costs a pretty penny at £610 or nearly $800. Herring have a few options, but I think the closest, although a plain toe and not a cap toe, is the Herring Orwell at only £275 or $350. But Bond is not all dress boots and calf leather. He wears some more casual footwear, although that does not necessarily mean they are cheap. Daniel has on very appropriate desert boots for the sandy scene in Quantum of Solace. This time the footwear is provided by Church, yet another Northampton heritage brand, but with a slight twist. In 1999 they were acquired by the Prada Group, and that can often be bad news for the consumer, as frequently quality brands get bought out by fashion labels and the quality of the shoe drops rapidly in a bid to increase profits, and live off the brand value established by decades of hard work. But to be fair to Prada, they have retained the high quality but increased the price considerably. This pair of desert boots, the Rider, will set you back £740 or nearly $950. And honestly, as a shoe aficionado, I can say these look like a very unremarkable pair of desert boots. You can get some very similar boots from Herring, even Goodyear welted from under £200 or $255, or up to £300 or $380. And I do not believe anyone would be able to tell the difference. And let's not forget the opening scene of Casino Royale. That action sequence that left us all a bit breathless in our introduction to Craig's Bond. Though personally I felt the parkour sequence was a bit out of place and took me out of the movie. I wondered how much practice Bond had put in to learn those acrobatic techniques. It was more gymnastics than action. Anyhow, back to the shoes, in what must be an absolute casual low-cost moment for Bond footwear. He is wearing a pair of Converse Jack Purcell OTRs in the opening chase sequence in Madagascar. And while possibly if Crown Northampton had been producing their wonderful minimalist leather sneakers back then, Craig would have made a different choice. But in any case, he is wearing a pair of shoes that anyone can afford. At under $100, they are a steal to walk in the shoes of James Bond, or at least to leap and bounce. This episode is a little different from the usual, but I have been a huge shoe fan for so many years and a big fan of Daniel Craig's shoes in the Bond movies. So let me know what you think. Would you like to see more or less of this style video? Thank you for tuning in and staying till the end, and I'll see you next Wednesday.